Sir, can we see a show of hands? Who will vote to shut down the government?
No, we're not going to do show of hands. We're not in a classroom. We're not doing show of hands.
Well, So this was the latest stunt by the MAGA Republicans. They went to the border right there. They were asked a question at this press conference. Raise your hand if you are going to shut down the government. And they all said, we're not going to answer questions at a press conference. We're not in a classroom right here. Let's talk about this stunt, though, that MAGA Republicans tried to pull and why it's ultimately going to backfire. Let me show you this clip right here from the same press conference. And here is Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne, and here's what she has to say. Play this clip.
It's exactly the position that we find ourselves in. Hold the line. None of us want to shut down the government, but we all recognize the fact that every single penny that we are giving to Homeland Security at this point that is not being used to secure our border, that is not being used to increase our national security, but is doing the exact opposite. It is weakening it. It is forcing more and more people quickly, more efficiently into our country illegally, is hurting our national security, hurting our best interest, and killing our economy and local governments.
So you hear what she says there? She goes, none of us want to shut down the government, but, and here, by the way, is MAGA Republican Mark Green at this press conference, and here is what he has to say. Play this clip.
And now, as the chairman of the Committee on Homeland Security, I contend with the domestic threats to this nation. The greatest domestic threat to the national security and the safety of the American people is Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas.
Yes.
And as Stuart Beckham says, there were bomb threats at multiple state capitol complexes today. A guy shooting off his gun in the Colorado Supreme Court yesterday. The Colorado court ruled against the likely GOP presidential nominee who told the Proud Boys, a domestic terrorist group, to stand back and stand by. And this is what the MAGA Republicans are doing today. And finally, you had Jake Tapper, who brought on MAGA Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, onto his show. And what MAGA Mike was trying to kind of spew were his talking points, but give Jake Tapper credit right here, as it didn't look like MAGA Mike Johnson, the MAGA Republican Speaker of the House, was prepared for pushback on his claims. Here, play this clip.
It can come to an end if the Biden administration will do its job, and they've refused to do it. They're doing the opposite.
So the $14 billion, there are, you're right, 1,600 asylum officers that would be part of that to speed up processing of asylum claims. That's what you're talking about. But there also would be 1,300 more Border Patrol agents to work alongside the 20,200. And also funding to hire 1,000 Custom and Border Protection officers with a focus on counter fentanyl. So it's not all, in fact, most of it is not related to processing asylum seekers. A lot of it has to do with what you're talking about.
Jake, the president should come to the border. What an idea that would be. He should talk to the Border Patrol agents who are down here.
I think he went last year,
low.
just FYI.
Yeah, well, he went for a photo op. He should come and spend a couple of days like we have to be with the people here on the ground who are fighting this war on the border that's effective.
Or right here, where Jake Tapper again said, so you're telling me that in the supplemental authorization, President Biden wants to put billions of dollars at the border, get more border agents, help with the processing, help with deportations, do it in a very humane way, improve border security, that President Biden is willing to compromise to the tune of billions of dollars, but that's not what you want. Here, play this clip.
We don't know what's happening to them on the way.
Yeah.
This is a humanitarian crisis. We walk through the centers today, Jake. It would make the average American citizen cry to see what's happening here, and it must stop.
Right, which is why some people are saying, why not pass the $14 billion supplemental bill that President Biden has put before you to at least try to help with some of these issues.
That won't solve. That won't solve any of the problems I just articulated.
Right,
that won't do a darn thing.
Well, I'm sure the people, the Border Patrol agents that you're with, think it might do something, at least in terms of making their job a little easier for the next month or so.
No, actually they don't.
They don't want the $14 billion?
No, I just quoted to you the deputy chief of the U.S. Border Patrol, and he said he doesn't need more buckets. In other words, he doesn't need more personnel to handle the flow. He needs to turn the flow off. That's what we're talking about. This is not about sending more money down here. It's about changing the policy, and the White House seems not to understand that.
Yeah, but I mean, even President Trump couldn't turn the faucet off, right? I mean, I understand your point that he did more than Biden did.
He turned the flow down.
Yeah, but it's not. It's the presidency. It's not a magician. But let me just ask you one quick question.
And again, here's what Stuart Beckham has to say. Here's another example of how the MAGA GOP doesn't want actual real-world solutions to questions about border policy. They just want another public problem to relentlessly demagogue and make false promises around. That's all they got. The MAGA Republicans want there to be a crisis at the border, and certainly when President Biden tries to address it and come up with solutions, they reject it. You heard what MAGA Mike Johnson had to say right there. And here's what the MAGA Republicans realize right now. They realize that right now the economy is doing well. They realize, and it could do better, but it's doing well. The stock market's doing well. President Biden's got the momentum, so they want to pull these stunts. What they want to distract you from is from things like this, from MSNBC over the past few days. Here is what they are saying, how the economy in 2023 surprised everyone. And that's a good thing for the American people. Here, play this clip.
Yeah, this was an economy and a stock market that surprised really all the experts. I don't think very many, if any, quite predicted this. So we'll look at a consensus of economists, and you'll see that at the beginning of the year, they were looking at a very little sliver of growth for our economy. Some were predicting recession, but not a lot of growth. What happened, and this includes the fourth quarter, which we'll get the actual number, but we have good estimates, 3% growth, a very solid, very solid performance for the economy. Then you take a look at unemployment. Economists thought it was going to edge up to close to 5% as the Federal Reserve raised rates and forced the economy to slow down. In fact, it's just under 4%. It's still more or less where it's been for several years. If you look, tied to that is jobs growth, of course. Consensus, for the reasons I said, expecting a slower economy, thought we would actually lose a few jobs per month. In fact, we gained almost 250,000 jobs a month through November. We'll get one more number on Friday of this week. And then lastly, the S&P, as you mentioned, Willie, nobody can predict the S&P. Let's just be honest about that for starters. But they were looking at 5%, the strategists, and instead they got 25%.
Wow.
And here on Fox, and I like that President Biden is sending advisors on Fox. Listen to what one of President Biden's advisors had to say about the economy. Play this clip. And about priorities. Play the clip.
What is the president's plan as it relates to the economy if elected to a second term?
I got two words for you, Mike. Lowering costs. Lowering the cost of insulin. Make sure that the measures that this president legislated to keep down the price of prescription drugs, of health care coverage, to continue fighting against junk fees, whether they're at concerts, events, airfares, banks, hotels, to continue to build on this progress we've made in not just lower inflation, but actual lower costs in key areas of consumer spending. And I think it's very important here to look at a contrast between who this president is fighting for and who those on the other side of the aisle appear to be fighting for. It looks to us like their economic agenda going into 24 is to cut taxes for millionaires and billionaires, to repeal this president's legislative measures to lower the cost of insulin, to lower the cost of prescription drugs, to lower the cost of clean energy and health coverage, and to defund the IRS so millionaires and billionaires can continue to evade hundreds of billions of dollars of taxes. If you look at who's fighting for whom, I think it's pretty clear.
And then you have Jessica Tarlov on The Five, that show on Fox, where they have like four Republicans who just try to yell at her, and she does a incredible job. Watch what she has to say. Stock market, drilling, etc. Here, play this clip.
People all over our own airwaves, from the Wall Street Journal to people from the Biden campaign, talking about the economic record, talking about what Bidenomics has done for the average person. The Wall Street Journal ran editorials, ran reported pieces about all the optimism heading into it. The stock market is exploding. The jobless rate's down, inflation is easing, gas prices. We never talked about, remember when you guys told me, drill, baby, drill, he won't drill. We're now producing more oil than any other country in history, 13.3 million barrels.
But they don't want to claim that as an accomplishment.
Yeah, no, they do. Listen to Jared Bernstein. He showed up. He was on Fox over the weekend. Why are you
Jared
laughing?
Bernstein.
What are you, a chief economic advisor? That's
Why
what
doesn't the president say anything?
He shows
What did he
up
do
and
today?
in fact,
So what do MAGA Republicans want to do? You have Jessica Tarlov coming in with data. And on the other hand, you've got Jesse Waters saying things like this. Play the clip.
SPF?
Well, I blame his dermatologist, Dr. Jill. I believe she's the dermatologist. He looks like George Hamilton. You have to be able to take care of yourself if you're going to take care of the country. And the man just had skin cancer a year ago and then goes out and gets totally roasted in the sun. It's reckless. I'm not going to make a sunburn a scandal, but this is impeachment material. I agree.
And finally, here on CNN, here you have, watch this panel, watch this discussion. And they talk about, or the Democratic strategists, but it's just logical at this point, the fact that the Republicans just want stunts. Stunts. Play this clip.
What should the federal government be doing that they're not doing?
Well, one of the things I think we need to point out that we don't talk enough about is that the Biden administration has asked for billions of dollars to mitigate these crises. A lot of that money would go to these cities. Guess who has said no? Republicans. And this has to be underscored.
Well, Republicans have also been holding out for additional changes to border policy that Democrats hadn't been willing to give them. And the president's being criticized from his left.
Yes. And so you can't say Democrats haven't been willing to give, because President Biden has said from day one that he is absolutely willing to compromise, so much so.
Well, not day
that
one. I mean, it took him a while to get involved.
Well, but people, like you said, people on the left are even upset for how much he's willing to compromise. He has been there, Casey. He has offered in the supplemental billions of dollars to exactly this issue. And so when Republicans talk about how Joe Biden has done nothing, they have done even less, and they're being incredibly hypocritical about it, because the money that the Biden administration has asked for would go to additional border patrol, additional law enforcement, additional smart border security measures, more asylum judges, asylum processors, and critically, a lot of money for these cities. And so when that money is not coming, let's look to Republicans and say, cut the hypocrisy.
And by the way, the Republicans are just saying it out loud. Here is what Troy Nels, MAGA Republican, member of Congress, told CNN. Let me tell you, I'm not willing to do too damn much right now to help a Democrat and to help Joe Biden's approval rating. I will not help the Democrats to try to improve this man's dismal approval ratings. I'm not going to do it. Why should I? Chuck Schumer has had H.R. 2 on his desk since July, and he did nothing with it. It should be noted, actually. I know they want to keep saying horrible things about President Biden, but President Biden does have good momentum heading into 2024. But setting that aside, this is all MAGA Republicans wanting to attack politically President Biden and harm the American people. Show you multiple data points over and over again. Billions of dollars to the border that President Biden is trying to do. We have to have a civics class here. We have to have an understanding that in order for President Biden to get laws passed and to get funding, it has to go through the House of Representatives, controlled by MAGA Republicans, and the Senate is working to get a funding bill passed. And then it goes to the MAGA Republicans in the House, who are MAGA, who are full-blown Trump, who think this is a joke, who want to take away your health care, who want to take away your Social Security, have taken away reproductive freedoms. They're coming for all your other freedoms. It's just that is what they want to do. Take away your freedoms, bring American carnage, and hoist up their Donald Trump, the most incompetent wannabe dictator, found liable for sexual abuse and rape in a federal trial. That's what they want to do. That's their lookout. And we will let them know every day that these stunts have no place in 2024. Frankly, they should have no place in any year. But in 2024, Americans are saying enough. Spread this video, share this video, tell me what you think in the comments, hit the thumbs up button, and make sure you subscribe to this channel. It's free to do that. So if you can comment, hit the thumbs up button, the like, and subscribe. Have a good one.
Thanks so much for watching. We're only a few subscribers short of 2 million subs. Please subscribe right now to the MeidasTouch YouTube channel for free and help us grow this unapologetically pro-democracy network.